Ahoy, fellow troglodytes.
And welcome aboard the Joy of Trek, an apartheid podcast exploring the disruptors and oligarchs of Star Trek.
All of it.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And wondering where the Lando's caves are is your chief engineer, Greg.
Together, we're on a mission through the Xenite mines of Star Trek to find the gas in every cave and the excellence in every episode.
Sorry, even the outdated medical terminology, yeah.
Because every episode must be someone's favorite, and it might as well be ours.
So choose death before being an arc and join us as we fall into
The joy of Trek. Woo! Chief's on point with this.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Did you guess what we're talking about today?
Yes, that's right. We are talking about original series, The Cloudminders.
Yeah.
Season 3, episode 19, or 21, or depending on whatever you...
Yeah, we really have to figure that out, or slash I do. It'll go on the list of the many things that Kaki's responsible for, and we'll see if 2025 brings us a bit more productivity in that regard. The Cloudminders first aired on the 20th of February, 1969. Story by David Gerrold and Oliver Crawford. We recently watched one of David Gerrold's productions, The Man from Earth.
Oh, yes.
A script that he finished with his son on his deathbed, regrettably.
Wow. Damn.
Teleplay by Margaret Arman and directed by Judd Taylor.
Somewhat weird and appropriate that he finished a script about a man who lives forever on his deathbed.
It was good, wasn't it?
It was a good movie, absolutely.
So what happens in The Cloudminders, Kay?
Oh, The Cloudminders. Captain Kirk strong-arms a planetary government into letting go of its preconceptions.
I think that's very generous, but also very accurate, actually.
Yeah.
Hey, are you sure you're okay?
Yeah.
That was a remarkably useful episode that I think a lot of people recognized. Chief, do you have anything to approve upon this?
Kirk's effort to obtain a vital mineral are complicated by terrorists striking at the beautiful cloud city Stratos and its virulent apartheid policies.
Well, now I'm going to have to do something a little bit unconventional here.
Yes.
Which is before we delve into what people thought about it and our warp cores and even the recommendation, I think it would be useful to look at some comments by David Gerrold.
Himself. Okay.
Yes. He wrote the original story, which was severely altered before it reached the screen.
Okay.
Part of that because he, as he said himself, was 23 years old and looked 12.
Sure.
And therefore, even in season 3, and even having delivered The Trouble with Tribbles at the time already,
Fantastic.
he wasn't really trusted, with big episodes, so it was heavily rewritten. But his original story, Castles in the Sky, was a parable about class division, contrasting the haves floating in the city skies and the have-nots suffering under conditions. Kirk, initially concerned about restoring the dilithium crystal supply, comes to realize that stabilizing the situation requires improving conditions for the Mannies, as they were called, now troglodytes. So
the Mannies and the Fuse, I suppose.
Ooh, that's a good one. So some major plot points was the Enterprise crew's shuttlecraft is shot down by Mannies.
Yeah.
McCoy treating injured children in appalling hospital conditions. And crucially, Kirk forcing negotiation between the two sides, allowing them to seek their own solutions rather than imposing one.
Okay. Yeah.
And then at the end, having an optimistic view that they'll work it out. And then McCoy challenging that by saying, yes, but how many children will die in the meantime?
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the telecast version, in the view of David Gerrold, oversimplified the problem, attributed the conflict to Xenite gas, which Gerrold critiqued as, and I'm using a quote here, where he uses archaic terminology for its purpose, if we can just get them troglodytes to all wear gas masks, then they'll be happy little darkies, quotation marks, and they'll pick all the cotton we need.
Okay.
This was Gerald's critique of the version that we have seen, because it simplifies this class problem,
right?
As if we can just solve it with gas masks, and then the underclass will continue just as they.
Didn't get that myself, but sure, I can see where it's coming from. Yeah.
So that's David Gerald's warp core, which is an unconventional move. But,
no, absolutely. Yeah.
So what did other people think of this episode?
Let's see. Zach Hanton of AV Club gave the episode a C+ rating, noted that it had enough story that it didn't drag too terribly near the end, but that philosophy-wise it chickened out in a way that is highly unusual for the show, which especially the second part I tend to agree with, not the first one. One person on Reddit, whom I forgot to write his username, says, "Why doesn't anybody want to work?"
For free, for our convenience, so we don't have to... Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Stunning ad 1685 says, "Whenever I see Droxine's outfit, I think Remarkable. The finest example of sustained anti-gravity elevation I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I already know what my so fucking cool's going to be. It's William Ware Tice is in top form with Droxine's dress. Good gravy.
And now I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but I think it's Assassinus.
All right.
Yes, Assassinus or something like that. Yes, too many I's, too many S's. So much media about oppression takes a simple approach and just makes the oppressor universally evil people who oppress other group for no reason. I thought it was brilliant how this episode handled this premise. The oppressed are held back by the position in society, and the oppressors see that as justification for keeping the system as it is.
Yeah.
This is exactly how it happens in reality, just with a lack of access to education and money instead of poisonous gas.
Yeah.
Which kind of like loops back to the comment about like, well, yes, if we only like get them rid of the gas, then they'll stay in their place, which is, I think this is a slightly better metaphor for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and we have one more person who had a perspective, and that's the person who recommended it to us today.
Did recommend it to us.
That's Kaleb with a K, who I believe has recommended episodes to us before. Thank you so much, Kaleb, who said, "No war but class war, baby." I love this episode for being that classic campy trek while also being a rather good simplification of how environment, particularly an environment caused by oppression in the first place, shapes the way that oppression is justified and continued. Mm-hmm. Not specifically class-related, but that's the medium this episode evokes, and many marginalized identities can be viewed through class structure as well. Absolutely true. I can't deny a good, I won't be the bigger man, I'm dragging you down to my level type story, especially when it's our protagonist doing the dragging.
Yeah.
I can't help but love Droxine flirting with Spock because it just registers to me as the relatable experience of the, ma'am, please, I'm here with my boyfriend, who you clearly haven't clocked as such. So I'm going to try and find the most non-scene causing way to stop this. Wow. It kills me, and I don't think this scene is supposed to reduce you to giggles. Hope you also enjoy. Yes, Kaleb, absolutely.
I think you believe that Kaleb is also a member of the shipping community.
I think so too. He's a Spurk or Cock fan, depending on how you view it. And when is this episode coming out? You either have just had or are about to have a real nice treat in regards to Kirk and Spock. I think that was the last story that we read.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. No idea how that lines up with the production schedule.
Oh, but Captain Mike. I think we're in order. I think we're actually... the temporal vortex is sort of streamlined a little bit.
Yes, the eddies in the temporal vortex are currently running in the same direction.
How did you know we're all called Eddie?
Well, I kind of assumed. Sorry.
Whoa, amazing.
I assumed your identity.
All right. Do you want to hit us with a warp core sound effect?
You have warp cores?
I do. Nope, it's the other one. It's the warp.
Sorry, the warp core.
Yeah, exactly.
That one.
That's the one.
Yeah, sorry. This one says warp, so I was kind of like...
I know. It's... There is some troubling terminology and outdated medical perspectives on the concept of intelligence and the measurability thereof that harkens a bit like, phrenology. Do you know that? Is
that the one with the forehead sizes?
Yeah, and bumps on the head and like skull deformations being indicative of levels of intelligence, all of which.
But they're not really advocating those. They're just saying that this is an inferior species. I mean, they even describe it as a conglomerate of various species.
So not a lot of understanding.
The troglodytes aren't even a uniform species. So they're just saying, the underclass is just where they belong, and just because they're more stupid.
But they are also the same species.
Okay.
That's also established. So, which is very confusing therein. But I'm speaking specifically about even Dr. McCoy uses this as if you can just do a scan on a planet and measure that, these are 20% below average.
Right, yes. That's odd, yes.
Yeah.
I guess those were still not entirely debunked.
Yeah.
At least not in the minds of movie and TV producers.
Yeah. So this was some...
But also, this is also a perfect example of how the upper class or the ruling class is willing to go along with ideas which are probably easily challenged and disproven, but not done so because they maintain the status quo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very good. That's actually a really good point.
That might just be exactly the thing that we're trying to critique here. So I'll give that one to the Well, the fact that McCoy didn't use it as well, but I guess I'm saying it might have been a bias from the producers and the writers.
Yeah, I think that's really valid.
All right, so your warp. Was that?
Yeah, that was my warp core dump. And other than that, I and Mrs. Lincoln both quite enjoyed the play.
Let's see. Did I have any warp cores? No, not really. Nothing especially egregious that I need to get off my chest. Everything else that I have will come in its usual normal place in the show where it belongs.
All right.
So, we open with a botanical plague devastating a planet.
Yes.
In the quadrant of the the galaxy,
where the Enterprise is operating, and
yes, all vegetation is dying, and the only solution is we need some Xenite.
Yep, and therefore,
the Federation orders were proceeding at top warp speed to the planet Ardana, where the only known source of Xenite exists,
which can apparently instantly cure the plague in its refined form.
Yeah, just like spread it out over the planet, and even in a matter of hours, like they still have to. At the end of the episode, they've got like 3 hours left, and in that time they can fly to the planet and spread the plague.
Turns out, it's a magic cure for any botanic plague that threatens the ecosystem of a planet.
Cool. I could be charitable and said like that is the latest time at which they have to start spreading the Xenite and all before the systemic collapse occurs. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there.
Nice one, Kay. That's normally my job when they say something stupid on Star Trek, to jump into their defense and make broad sweeping assumptions of competence that are not supported by any evidence on screen.
True.
I like that.
Captain, the High Advisor of Ardana is ready to receive you on Stratus, sir.
Oh, but isn't that their fancy city? We want to go to the mines where the Xenite is.
Yeah, we want to go to the cool stuff. This scene is really interesting to me because Kirk seems sort of off his game.
He does, yes, very much.
First he's speaking into his little recorder, which he flips shut and hands to someone else. But listen to how he responds to Uhura here.
On Stratus? That's their cloud city, isn't it, Mr. Spock?
Right, he's very sort of insecure. Like I sort of imagine that he wasn't completely paying attention during the briefing.
Right.
And he's now realizing,
wait, are we going somewhere else?
I've got to know all this. I didn't prepare for any...
I didn't do my homework.
Right, Mr. Spock? Right?
Actually, what I've got written down is like Kirk is very to the point. He's very brusque in a lot of ways in which he's saying and doing.
Yeah, true.
Uhura, tell the High Advisor that we request to dispense with the welcoming ceremonies due to the emergency, that we're beaming directly down to the mine entrance in order to ensure the fastest possible delivery of the Xenite. The need is urgent.
Aye, sir.
And then he turns around in the doorway and goes...
Oh, and tell them that we appreciate the honor and that we look forward to some visit in the future.
Blah, 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 blah,
blah.
Yada.
Fill in other details. All right. So said, yeah. You don't need to tell me. I always do this.
Yes. So, credits and the... wait.
No, we haven't even got to the credits.
No, you're right. Sorry,
a nice orbital shot of...
Yeah, this is definitely the jazzed up version of the series.
Isn't it weird how we're now so far into the future that the jazzed up, remastered CGI versions look way clunkier to our eyes than the original models, I guess, would have?
Yes, maybe, because, well, I guess we're getting more sensitive to the what looks real and what isn't real, with the whole raise of AI.
And excellent visual effects professionals.
Sure, yeah.
Achieving the impossible sometimes.
So they arrive on a transporter platform, which is on a rocky soundstage planet.
Red sky, white clouds, and as Kirk and Spock look up, they marvel. They marvel at...
Stratos, Captain. City actually floating in the sky.
It's only a model.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. Is it a model or a...
I have no idea.
A painting?
It
does look modelly.
That was a Search for the Holy Grail reference, by the way. But...
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. Actually, let's not go to Camelot. This is a silly place.
Yes, exactly. But yes, apparently it is a renowned planet of a city where...
I hear its art forms are incomparable.
Yes, art is the population's chief occupation.
It is a totally intellectual society.
Yes, because we've outsourced all the actual work.
Yeah. I noticed that this episode is really heavy on the repetitive exposition and people explaining things to each other that they want the audience to hear.
Yes.
I read that this was attributed to the producer Freiberger, who used this device a lot in his programs, including Spock's upcoming inner monologue, just in case you weren't paying attention.
Right. Not a firm believer of show them, don't tell them, but...
Yeah, and we'll get to that, but it has shocking repercussions even today. But for now, we're treated to a really cool camera move.
Yes, it moves up. Basically, the camera pans up or dollies up or whatever it's called.
Radens upward.
And it goes behind the rock. So there was a big rocky protrusion is moved between the camera and Spock and Kirk.
Yeah.
I guess they were just trying to show off how big their set was and how... it does make it look a lot better, actually. It's much less the side ground view shot that you usually get from the...
This was really cinematic and exciting. I may sound like I'm like being quite excessive, but I thought it was really cool. So we see them from above.
They are walking up to the entrance of the mine, and it's like I was like a little bit underwhelmed here. It's like, okay, at the end of the show, they show you like what I presume is a mood painting that they used for the storyboarding or whatever it is, and it shows a huge cavern with like a refinery type mine in it, and I guess they went like, okay, we want this, and then the set design gave them a rocky wall with a hole in it.
Oh, that's a good point, because when we finished the episode, we paused it, and that freeze frame was indeed... Now, I don't know for sure that was related to this episode, because the end credits montage, I don't know that it isn't either.
Okay, yeah.
The end credit montage always had, lots of different imagery.
It kind of jumped out to me due to the contrast. Also, the fact that it's just a hole in the wall, and there's no signs of like traffic coming in and out. There's no, it's not even a little trolley track for the mine carts to be pushed out on. It's
right. Yeah, I guess this was
it's crazy. It basically looks unused.
Yeah, like they imagine people just coming in and out with armloads of ore.
Well, I mean, we do find out that they dig it out by hand.
They've got mortae as well. They've got cavern implements.
Yes, true.
But yeah, maybe some of them are forced to do it by hand. Oh, what terrible conditions they live in.
They look up and they decide that, like, oh, this is weird. Maybe they changed their mind, and then they got lassoed from behind by a trio of troglodytes and some supervisors. I guess it's also a troglodyte, so it's a quad.
Call them what?
Quad of troglodytes. If you get what comes after a trio? Quartet. Thank you.
A quartet.
Yes.
There's three of them.
No, there's four.
Where's the fourth one?
3 dudes in red suits, red uniforms, and then the lass in the purple.
Retracted. Look, just call them what they are: Duran Duran cosplayers. Right? They've suddenly arrived with Barbarella.
Sure. Yeah.
Wearing amazing visors and head coverings. I don't know what that's called. I recognize it as something that was called as a do-rag in the 1990s. Apologies if that's not a...
I believe that's the correct term, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hair covering. They all have long brown hair and cool jumpsuits. And now we go to the credits as Kirk and Spock are engaged in some unexpected bondage.
Ooh, yes. Not together but separate,
Yeah.
Oh, another.
Exciting for both of us.
Equal but separate.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Quickly, go to the credits.
Space, the final frontier.
And now we come out of the credits, and we find that they're being taken hostage.
Yes.
Who are you? What's the meaning of this attack?
No.
Interference breeds attack, Captain. Come on.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
but we're here by permission, and we shall not stand for, and a fight breaks out. First one.
An amazing fight!
It's a very good fight, yes.
Kirk does the double leg jumping kick at one of them. We've got the shoulder roll.
Many judo chops and pentac jabs.
Yep. Spock does some excellent dodging, and yes, judo chop. He shoves people away.
At one point, this guy comes in like stretched. One of the troglodytes comes like basically planking as he flies through the air,
I love that.
launching himself at
I love
Kirk.
that. Just turns himself into a missile. And we have the first of many scenes of Kirk shoving Vanna to the ground and pinning her there.
Oh, yes.
She gives a bit better than she gets in most of the rest of the episode. But these are such good jeeps.
But the fight is interrupted by the High Advisor of the Planetary Council, Mr. Places, who comes there with a few guards, or what do they call them again?
Sentinels.
Sentinels, that's
Troglodytes, halt!
Roar! And the Sentinels hike up their short little tunics to give their low-hanging balls a scratch. Hey, this is the enhanced version. You can see every pube because they are as short as hotel bathrobes.
I suppose so, yes, very much so. So, yes, they chase off the troglodytes. They manage to catch one by shooting him, I think. And, although I'm not sure if that's the one that survives. But
No, they just kill one. They shoot one in the back.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And the others escape into the hole-in-the-wall cave set, which, hey, I think it's a pretty good cave set. for Star Trek.
It's fair, It's probably a repainted cave set from another episode. But,
Well, they had some practice by season 3. And we're introduced to Placis, a very, very placid, toga-wearing gentleman who asks...
Are you harmed, gentlemen?
No, just a little shaken up.
And he identifies himself as the advisor, the leader of this
The
community.
High Advisory.
Yeah.
So he's the only one of the government we're ever going to see. It's like
That's a good point.
They don't get to talk to anybody else except his daughter, who is somehow also involved, I guess.
Supposedly a council.
Yeah.
And we're treated to more rapid exposition.
Unfortunately, violence is habitual with the troglodytes.
Yeah, so we're introduced to a faction complexity, with the troglodytes having seized the Zenite, and in fact, their invitation to come pick it up was
Right.
a ruse.
And unfortunately, there are disruptors, and the disruptors...
It's the disruptors who are responsible for their refusal to continue mining for Zenite.
They agreed to the delivery. Your counsel assured us of it.
Yeah, obviously as a means to take hostages. Absolutely incomprehensible.
Well, why would... Hostages? Why would they want hostages, Kirk says, and...
What are the demands?
Completely unreasonable, Captain, but nothing you need be concerned with.
So Placis says that he'll organize a search party and go find the Zenite for them. And in the meantime...
Why don't you come join us on Stratos?
Yeah. All right, that sounds fine. And through means undisclosed, presumably transporter. Oh, yes, no.
Yeah, they
it
use
is
the
with
transporter pad. Yeah, they have their own transporter.
They might have built a model for... it's the remastered version. Of course, in the remastered version, they could have built a CGI model of Stratos.
Easy enough.
I don't know if they did.
Probably not, because the cloud looks kind of wonky and fake. So if they'd have gone through the trouble of making a new CGI model for that shot, then you could have also done the cloud a bit better.
That's a good point. Chief, were they paintings or was it a scale model of Stratos?
Yes, so it was a scale model, so it was based off of just green foam, white glue, hacksaw blades, and X-Acto knives. So you're just chopping up all the foam and gluing it together and putting all the shapes of it all together, and then just putting some cotton on the bottom of it. And you can kind of tell when you look at it. I mean, it looks very... I don't even want to say basic, because it really is well done, especially on a production timeline, because you are rushing to get this stuff done. And as far as I can tell, this episode did not have extensive VFX changes. Like, the only one that I'm really seeing is you saw a little bit more mountains in the shot of the surface of Ardana, but even that was based off of a different photo than the photo they already used from space photos taken by Gemini 4 astronauts, which is dope as hell.
So here we get the scene where the daughter is introduced.
Yes. They arrive on this
Droxine.
balcony,
Yes.
which has stairs that they can walk down. It's a really versatile set, this.
Oh, yes. I knew the quote that the chief gave us last week.
Yeah.
I have never before met a Vulcan, sir.
Nor I a work of art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spock being the complete flatterer. But it's kind of pulled out of its context. Because a little earlier,
yes.
right before that, the High Advisor...
Gentlemen, one of our planet's most incomparable works of art.
He already gives the assist for Spock's comment, so...
And that's really good, because Spock is kind of mocking Placis.
Yes.
For that is a... Yeah, that is a young woman.
But it changes the quote entirely. It changes Spock from being a smooth talker to a much more calculated...
That's awesome. Because that's also Kaleb's interpretation that Spock is calmly diffusing the tensions of a young woman who doesn't realize that he's here with his husband. Thank you very much. Oh, very, very good.
But yes, why don't you come enjoy our city? There's so much to see. Like, we have the finest works of art. Oh my God, who stuck a trowel in it?
Oh no! Dun dun dun!
Disruptors again.
How dreadful. They're despoiling the whole city.
Oh no! For what purpose? But it's further acts of protest. Now, I really wonder how this would have read to audiences in 1969.
Yes, I mean, there would have been protests and other...
Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like these were contemporary events. Now, of course, it took longer for television shows to air and for news to travel. But still, like the sort of fake optimism of the early 1960s, the Beach Boys vibe of let's all just get along, was rapidly being replaced by more political awareness.
Wokeism.
Well,
Well, I mean, that's around this, stay woke, stay alert. It's what the term originally means.
Yeah. Be aware of the injustices that are faced by society.
But yes, they once again stress more that, we really need that Xenite.
Mr. Advisor, the plant life is the source of oxygen on that planet. Obviously, if all plant life is destroyed, the humanoid life will follow.
Yeah, Kirk is at first uninterested in this factional dispute because, we're just here to do a pickup.
Yep.
We have a much bigger mission. And in the meantime, they're just going to chill. Because would you like to take a rest? Chambers have been prepared for you? Well, yes. Says,
That would be most welcome, Mr. Advisor.
and first of all, Spock is speaking for the captain.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we have something important to do. We're not going to do that. And the captain just agrees. I think Spock just kind of needs some alone time with with Kirk. We need to talk about this situation with Droxine. How are we going to? What are the sort of boundaries? Do we get a whole pass? Maybe? No. Okay, fine.
So yes, there's a little bit of dialogue between Droxine and her father.
Yes, where she says,
The disruptors must be mad to attack two such charming strangers.
yeah. Can we talk about her dress, by the way?
Oh yes. I mean, the finest display of zero-gravity tailoring that...
So, designed by William Ware Tice, a gay gentleman, much like ourselves, he proposed the Tice theory of titillation.
Oh, yes, I think you told me about this before. Go ahead.
That a garment's sexiness is not determined by how much it reveals, but the perceived likelihood of it accidentally falling off at any moment.
Yes, like the nipple slip index, I suppose you could call it.
Exactly that. So she has her boob coverings seem to be sort of loosely draped and being held by their suction of her boobies.
It has a very, very mermaid-esque type.
Yes. She's got a very aerial vibe as well, with the cerulean, sparkly color of her dress. Do you wonder? It makes you wonder if she even has legs under there. She has to trade legs or voice. It's a voice day today, so now I'm just going to wear my long dress.
She should do that gliding dance move,
Oh yes, that ballet step.
Yeah, where they do the tiny steps, and they wear long skirts, so it looks like they're just gliding over the floor. It's like they're on a skateboard or something.
Oh, phenomenal athleticism.
But yes, they worry a little bit because...
Do you think that Captain Kirk and his very attractive officer
Husband.
will feel that we're responsible for their injuries?
No, she's so clueless.
I was like, oh, well, I thought you were worried about diplomatic relationships. But I can...
Oh, what a sweet, charming, moon-brained woman you are. What a lovely daughter I have, undespoiled by such thoughts as complexity.
Right, yes.
Let your natural sweetness shine through.
However, they are interrupted by a fair pair of sentinels.
But this troglodyte was apprehended leaving the city.
Yeah.
So there's a quick bit of interrogation. What were you doing here? Stupid excuse. The questioning rapidly devolves into basically the troglodyte just standing there going like, well, I don't know about that. And
yeah, he doesn't have a very complex ruse.
No.
Because he's heavily implied to be the one who did the troweling of the ark.
Yes, would this happen to be yours?
Cavern implement?
Yeah. And the verdict is very soon and quick.
Secure him to the rostrum.
We don't know what the rostrum is. I think what we get to see later is the rostrum.
That makes sense.
We can make it in Dutch. You said roosterum.
Okay, so roast him. Yeah, very,
exactly.
very close. Yeah, I think it is the pillar that Vanna winds up being attached to for the raise. But no, he, as we say in Dutch, he chooses eggs for his money.
Yes, also a nice Dutch colloquialism.
Leaving them standing there with a mouthful of teeth.
And as he runs up the steps and jumps over the railing and goes hurtling down back towards the planet.
It's a really nice swan dive he does.
It does, yes, but yep. I mean, kind of sad actually, like we're laughing about it, but it's like, yes, someone choosing death over... I mean, I can understand why you would choose death over torture, but yes.
Yeah.
Rather than like reveal information or anything... Just commit suicide by jumping over the balustrade.
That's a really good point, because, this troglodyte is a member of the Disruptors, a resistance agitating for emancipation of an oppressed class. And this is an act of heroism and self-sacrifice.
And the High Counselor has something very eloquent and deep to say about it.
How unfortunate.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, if that's all. Oh, well.
Now we get that monologue. I just realized... that Kirk is sleeping on the only bed,
Yes.
and the camera pans aside to where Spock is sitting in the cuck chair.
Watching him, yes.
because it's facing the bed.
Wow.
So, sitting in we'll call it the Spock chair, all right?
Okay, sure.
Where he meditates while the image fades in and out from various images we've seen to remind us that
This troubled planet is a place of the most violent contrasts.
and
Those who receive the rewards are totally separated from those who shoulder the burdens.
Yes.
And then he
it's not wise
focuses on
leadership, yes.
on sweet Droxine. Oh, sweet
I
Droxine.
wonder, can she retain such purity and sweetness of mind
Ugh.
and be aware of the life of the people on the surface of the planet?
Well, she's clearly is and can and does, because,
Yep.
it gets reasoned away. It's like, oh, this is the natural way of things.
Versus Vanna, the woman that they encountered
Yeah.
as soon as they landed.
The young girl who led the attack against us when we beamed down was filled with the violence of desperation.
And I think he's a bit naive here in the last thing that he says.
Yeah,
The lovely Droxine knew of the young miner's misery. I wonder how the knowledge would affect her.
I believe she knows perfectly well.
Yeah.
She
And
just doesn't particularly see it as misery, and
just
it's just,
integrate it
that's
into her
just
worldview.
how it is. Like, they can't appreciate art. What would they do with it? Like, trowel it? It's
Yeah. Yeah. Much in the way that, like, plantation owner daughters stood on the veranda of their homes looking out over fields with enslaved African people, toiling for far too many centuries and decades. But yeah, integrating it into worldview where this is proper.
Yep, normal at least, yeah. So, Spock hears a sound, goes outside, where it is none other than Droxine herself who's making tea.
For some reason. Why all this is so close together is unclear. There's a
Oh,
lovely...
I've got another comment about that coming up later.
Oh, interesting. There's a strong magenta light on the wall, which I found very exciting as someone who learned a little bit about how television is produced. And like, there are certain colors that don't really transfer well on modern film stocks.
Right, yes.
Right? Red took a while. Lavender was notoriously difficult because those colors
The pigments
degrade.
are very difficult to transfer between the various copies, I guess.
Yeah, and detail is rapidly lost. So famously in the first Lord of the Rings film, The Fellowship of the Rings, when they arrive in Lothlorien, the realm of Galadriel, everything looks absolutely magical. And that's partly because this was with using digital technology, printing digitally. They used a lot of lavender
Oh,
in
right.
this environment.
And they printed everything from the original master or something. Oh, because everything
Digitally
was
printed, yeah. Solving that problem, but therefore it feels magical because you have never seen lavender so broadly used in a film before.
Yeah.
You don't know it, but you experience something
that's
new.
very cool, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so here, this splash of magenta is a very intriguing color. Yes, and Spock goes and I guess set some boundaries, really, because he starts with
Your movements awakened me.
Apologies.
we were trying to get our on, but we heard you rustling outside and peeping in, so.
And she's like, oh, but Vulcan eyes are so discerning too. And even, then here comes the
I
kicker.
hear that intellectually, Vulcans are as highly evolved as Stratos city dwellers.
Well,
Her firmly convinced of her own superiority.
that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do pride ourselves on our logic.
But cut to the same lass who was on the planet,
Yeah, who sneaks by.
now dressed as a city dweller.
Yes, she's got a cool outfit as well. She gave me a sort of
She's got even cooler eyeshadow.
oh yeah. Droxine was cool, but Vanna's even wilder.
I don't know. We'll have to get a good look at it, see if there's a GIF and we can tell which pride flag she's wearing on her eyes.
That's awesome. Her dress is purple, of which I'm a huge fan, and she gives more of a Princess Jasmine kind of vibe than Ariel. So it's really the battle of the Disney princesses.
This scene actually is much more like, I think, is a James Bond movie-esque style film movie. Also from the same era. You know, when someone creeps into the bedroom where Bond is sleeping with a knife and then lurches in for the attack, and then Bond grabs her because, of course, it's a girl. There's a sexy struggle on the bed.
Yes. Where the dominant male pins the female down until she realizes that it's futile.
Because, of course, She goes,
Call the guards if you're afraid, Captain.
"Oh, I'm not afraid."
In fact, I find this rather enjoyable.
Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't know that Spock isn't watching anymore.
Right.
He thinks he's...
So Kirk is the bisexual one.
Yeah, I think they might both be pretty pan. Who's to say?
Sure. Yeah, more struggle. Cut back to that Droxine. Yes, Droxine.
Yeah.
It's like making allusions to the Vulcan sexual drive. Only once every 7 years, they say. Is there a way to increase that?
Uh-huh. It's interesting how this is cut together, because Spock explains...
At that time, the mating drive outweighs all other motivations.
And then there's a quick shot
Cue
of
the other two
Kirk and
fighting,
Vanna
yeah.
sort of dry humping with a trowel between them.
Which you could have expected that, like, Spock with his superior hearing should have picked up on this by now.
Yeah. Later in an episode, oh no, continuity violation. Oh no, Tuvok says that Vulcan hearing is not remarkably better than
right.
human, but so
Yeah.
one of them was lying.
Yeah.
Because Vulcans never lie. Spock lies.
Yes. My money's on Tuvok in that regard.
Oh,
He's the kind of one who'd be more inclined to be sitting in the mess and just listening around and like very good at a security officer, you know. It's like, yeah, like he benefits more from the idea that Vulcans don't have superior hearing than Spock would have about lying about how good his ears are.
yeah. I mean,
Or maybe she was just like commenting on the fact that she really was banging that tea kettle around and he was just merely being polite.
Notice me. But finally, once everything's calmed down, he does actually notice when the rummaging and fighting in the resting chambers eases up, then he notices the sudden silence coming from his husband's room where he was giving him some space. Oh. And he finds Kirk and Vanna.
Yeah.
Am I intruding, Captain?
Yeah. And at first, Vanna is trying to keep it.
Welcome our honored guests, as I was taught to do when I served in your father's
Puts in her
household.
servitude, eyes, ears, whatever, demeanor.
I thought Vanna was great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Her character was written very well and was performed brilliantly. I think, like, she has this, like, at any moment that you see her, you know that she's concealing a lot more than...
Yes.
Right, even as she reveals that she was once a trusted member of this household as a servant.
Yeah, of course.
You know, there's still more to her.
Yes, and apparently they have been talking in the meantime because Kirk comes out with a bit of information that we haven't seen on screen.
Oh?
Yes, it seems the troglodytes are under the impression that the Enterprise is here to intimidate.
Which at no point was said.
Yeah, good point.
It's just that, so clearly they've been having a little bit of extra conversation.
Yeah.
Kirk is still like, look, we're not here to get involved. We just want the Zenite and GTFO.
Yep. And Vanna doesn't believe it.
Yep.
Right?
Starships do not transport cargo.
How else do you do interplanetary commerce then?
Cargo ships.
That's still a starship.
Well, it's spacey wacy. It's a star cruiser. It's a battleship. It's an exploration vessel. It's a star. And writers could make up what they wanted. One thing that I'm really quite interested in here is, like, I see Vanna here as someone with a well-supported point of view, with evidence that she's observed.
Not necessarily about the Enterprise being here to intimidate.
Well, in the context in which she lives and the information that she's received,
Right.
and her own quite intelligent reasoning, it does not make sense for, what was it? Imagine the Rainbow Warrior being sent to transport crude oil that is desperately needed on, wherever.
Hey.
And then you go, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. The Rainbow Warrior would not be sent to... Okay, it's a really exceptional situation. No, off. It's stupid, and I don't believe you. It's way more likely that you, a stranger, are lying.
Okay. I think your metaphor goes a little bit wrong here, but...
Sure, I am pulling a stretch, but this is how I see Vanna. Okay, yeah, you're going to have to do better.
Yeah.
Like, the basic facts have multiple interpretations, and you have a whole lot of context, you're...
Right, and they have absolutely no history of the Stratosians
Right.
being forthright or even truthful.
Right, exactly. Anyone with high technology in their history has usually been an exploiter or an oppressor.
Lies will not keep the troglodytes in the caverns, and neither will your starship.
Oh, very good.
And she is like...
The Stratos is for advisors and studiers.
Oh.
What would troglodytes do
It's like,
here?
sure. I mean, like, be okay to come here, but why would you?
Yeah, there's nothing for you to mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very troubling here. I do wonder if in the 60s, Vana's response was seen as like pig-headedness and stupidity, and can't you see, look, a white man just told you everything's fine. How can you, a foolish woman, not accept this? I don't know, right? No. It was a complicated political time.
But just as Spock summarizes
In other words, they perform all the physical toil necessary to maintain Stratus.
Well, yeah. That's how it's done. And, like, how can they share in, like, what they don't understand? You might want to teach them, Seems...
Yep. But...
The complete separation of toil and leisure has given Ardana this perfectly balanced social system, Captain.
Yeah, perfectly balanced. Yeah, it's
Yes.
It's effortless, isn't it?
Yeah, they do the work, we do have the pleasure. That's perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
And, yes, of course.
Here in Stratos, we have completely eliminated violence.
Cue the scream of the person being tortured. Good.
Really, really good.
setting up the irony rather thick, but yes.
It's a gorgeous shot of Vana being trussed up to what, I think you rightly presume to be the rostrum, surrounded by guards, and being threatened with torture. She refuses to speak, and Placis says,
Very well, if you prefer the rays.
Which Droxine operates.
Oh, yes, it is. True. Also, this was my other comment. It's like, who the sets their torture equipment up right next to the guest quarters?
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why, but that would just like...
For other recreational purposes.
Well, maybe not that.
Oh.
I was thinking maybe they're in a habit of like intimidating their guests with the screams of the tortured or otherwise. Well, you don't have to drag them too far when the guests are no longer welcome.
Well, you want to be able to... The cock chair is heavy. You don't have to move it too far. Which is where Spock is sitting, where he observes that...
Troglodyte is an abbreviation of an ancient Earth term, Captain.
A troglodyte.
Right.
A word I'm unfamiliar with. What is the etymology, Chief?
I've heard the word troglodyte used before.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me what it was, I would probably have guessed it was a dinosaur, but,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Chief, can you tell us the etymology of the word troglodyte?
Yes, of course. So like all good words, it comes from the Greek. So it means a human cave dweller, coming from the Greek trogl, so hole or mouse hole, and dian, which is to go in or dive in. So just, a hole diver, a cave dweller. Yeah, I mean, it's fairly straightforward.
Oh, thank you.
And once again, they hear a funny noise. In this case, a scream. Let's see if that translates. Nope. We just hear the what was it? No, that's more rays. Apparently the technology has failed to isolate that. And they walk in on a scene of an unarmed woman being tortured.
Yes.
You said you were going to question Vana, not torture her.
Physical discomfort is extremely persuasive, Captain.
Yeah, well, yes. Well, actually...
Spock turns to him and says, "Oh, is it? That hasn't been my experience."
Well, it's a very good way to get them to say what they think you want to hear. But that's about it.
Yes. You're speaking about the historical analysis of the efficacy of torture.
Yes.
And
much belied by shows like 24 and whatnot.
Yeah, that's been real unfortunate.
Yeah, somewhat. They come with the age-old argument.
Is it preferable to spare Vana and allow an entire planet to be destroyed?
Yeah, now Placis is using the unnamed botanical plague planet as a motivation for his actions, which that's not really why he's torturing Vana. He doesn't really care about this other planet, as we learn later.
Yes.
Right?
True. So yes, they explain a little bit about how the troglodytes are being brought up and how they get more education, and yes, because we need some workers up here too,
Yeah, but what else can they understand?
All the little things you and I understand and expect from life, such as equality, kindness, justice.
Very well put, Mr. Spock.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of back and forth about like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Like, well, we're just going to have you removed. Oh, Starfleet wouldn't like that, and he again, like the baffled tone that he has.
Why are you so concerned? with this disruptor's well-being.
Like, I don't understand. It's just a troglodyte, you know. Like, why are you worried about?
They're not people.
Yeah.
Because Kirk has jumped in and said,
The only way you'll use that device again is on one of us.
yeah, and that utterly confuses and upsets and alienates.
It does, yes.
The advisor.
And he's like, well, my orders are to get to Zenite, and then, like, well, then stop being a bother and let me get your Zenite. What is it like that Malcolm in the Middle said? What does it look like I'm doing?
Also, I think that's probably one of those 500 megabyte GIFs because it's so huge. It starts off with a light in the larder.
In the garage or something, yeah.
Not working, and then needing a spare light, and then the drawer with the lights in it is stuck.
And he needs to go to, and then eventually he's fixing the car, and his wife walks in and goes like, hey, can you fix the light? He's like, what does it look like I'm doing?
Throughout all this, I'm really interested in, like, Spock is the voice of reason.
Oh, yes, like...
Yeah, and he articulates far better than Kirk that there is a fundamental injustice here. Kirk goes, attacks the specific arguments of Placis, saying that they don't hold water, but Spock operates on the level of principle. And this, as we know, as someone who faced a lot of discrimination in his youth, he's a biracial person.
Yes.
And this animosity toward humans is something that he grew up with. Mockery of his mother, of himself, by schoolmates and peers. We saw that in the animated series episode we watched. So for him, it must hit pretty hard. But in good Starfleet fashion, all right, fine, we out of here. You solve it.
Yep.
Kirk doesn't see a solution to this diplomatic problem. Lets Placis run his planet how he wants.
How he wants it, and we get an almost...
Scott, we're ready to beam up.
No, beam up, Scotty. It's...
Yes, the words "beam me up, Scotty" have never been said in that order. And they go into the big giant cuck chair floating in the sky.
Yes, but not until after we get a final shot of Vanos.
Captain Kirk appears.
Oh,
again.
yes.
Kill him.
Top, top, top.
Meet the Buddha on the road.
Yes, kill him. So, back from commercial break.
Yes, Kirk and co. have been waiting on the big floating cuck chair in the sky, the Enterprise, floating over the planet. 8 hours have passed.
12 hours remaining.
Yep, and there's still no sign of the Zenite. We tried it your way, but...
Lieutenant O'Bara, advise Starfleet Command that the Zenite has not been delivered.
And if it's not delivered shortly, I shall violate his order of non-interference and go talk to the troglodyte leaders myself to get the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, why exactly that's a well, I guess I can kind of understand. Like, there is an established point of contact that is an acknowledged authority by the Federation.
Yes, that seems to make sense. That, like, even if you're a member of the Federation, that doesn't mean the Federation can just, like, barge in and do what the they want. It's like they still have planetary autonomy.
Yep. And he's going to try reason on the troglodyte leaders, and now Dr. McCoy comes in with...
It may not be easy, Jim. Medical analysis indicates the troglodytes are mentally inferior. Their intellect ratings are almost 20% below average.
Yeah.
They're all the same species.
Yeah. Yeah. I already dumped my warp core about this whole scene. There's a term called scientism, and it's the collection of various bigotries that various fields of science have found absurd justifications for. Because, describing something unjust in reasonable terms must make it reasonable.
Yeah. But it turns out that he has got a Zenite sample.
Now, unsealed, it would have had detrimental effects on everybody here.
But it turns out that once refined, Zenite is perfectly safe.
Yes.
But in its raw form, it has certain side effects. It emits an odorless, invisible gas.
Here's the terminology.
But in its raw state, it emits odorless, invisible gas that retards the intellectual functioning of the mind and heightens the emotion.
Now, I will need some clarification and help from the chief because he mentioned some outdated terminology. I don't know if that refers to the word retards here.
Retard here was like it retards the... That seems like it just holds back.
I've heard that term from people who have the term mentally retarded being a description for people with certain disabilities or alternate states.
It, as usual, it was designed as a neutral medical term.
Exactly.
And then it became a, whatchamacallit?
A pejorative.
That's the word, thank you.
Now, hey, it may also have emerged as part of a medical perspective that was rooted in bigotry.
Right. Possible.
Right, which, hence the need for clarification.
Right.
Chief, can you provide us with some perspective on this, please?
Yes, so it's not really that it came from a place of bigotry, because it does have a Latin root in origin, because like the French for slow is to retard. So it's not so much that it became from a place of bigotry, but it became a word to use as bigotry. So because of that, the American Psychiatric Association, they stopped using the term when they came up with the DSM-5 in 2013. So they changed it from mental retardation to intellectual disability or intellectual development disorder. So really it's more about like there's a disorder in the development and not so much that, oh, well, they're just slow. Again, because then we're putting a negative personal impact on the people and not so much that there is a disorder. There is something that is just innately wrong and not something to be shamed for, but just something to help them with. So, yeah, and even the World Health Organization has also, around the same time, changed their terminology, so they're not using it. So really, it's just a matter of language changing and language evolving because of the negative connotations that word has had because of how people use it and use it to degrade and denigrate people. So that's kind of where that comes from. So how they're using it in the episode is perfectly fine in a vacuum. However, it has become unfortunate because of what it got used to do and to denigrate people with.
God, it's nice to offload that.
That's we do appreciate the work that our chief does for us to help us.
I know.
That kind of thing. We don't have to like sit here and like research a subject for 10 minutes in the middle of an episode and then just to make a point.
Yeah, which, that's, some things are important enough to look up, and we're glad that the chief has the time to help us with that.
All right, so what are we doing now? They are talking, the troglodytes are constantly exposed to it.
But in its raw state, it emits a odorless, invisible gas that retards the intellectual functioning of the mind and heightens the emotion. Therefore, it releases a violent reaction.
And the mines are full of that gas.
That's right. And the troglodytes are constantly exposed to it.
Again, and that turns out that's why she's the resistance leader, I suppose.
Yes, yeah, because Kirk observes that...
They've outwitted a highly organized scientific culture for months.
And yet, the hypothesis is removal from that environment restores mental functioning.
Mm-hmm.
And now they understand that, yes, the only thing that's wrong with this society is gas.
Yes. Once we solve that, then everybody else will, the Stratos people will gladly give up their rich life and do their fair turn in the mines now that it's safe to do so. And yes,
I'm sure that'll all turn out fine. And Kirk calls up Plessis on the tiny little view screen. He's got the teleconferencing room.
Oh yes,
they're all standing around the Logitech webcam screen, and he holds up what looks like probably one of their more fun sort of bondage costume things, painted a more medical grey.
It looks a lot like the device they used in. Oh, shit. Was it? There was a recent episode we did. Someone also at one point gets an oxygen mask over their face, which looks like it's got an NO2 capsule sticking out.
Yeah, that seems like fun.
It looks very much like that.
And a
I
single
think it was in
clip.
Voyager when someone needed to be needed
I think
to
you're
give
right,
him air,
yeah.
and it's like, yeah, we'll just beam it straight into that thing and like push it into his lungs that way.
Yep, and this has a head clip that goes between the brows.
It's an interesting construction. I guess they wanted to make it look
Futuristic.
Yeah,
yeah. Assuming that
rather
it will
than
auto
like
fit.
ear straps and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and they know it's completely safe. We've used them regularly, and Starfleet will produce more, and this will solve the problems on your planet. But Plessis goes, oh, no.
Yeah.
You can't possibly
How
expect
can a
it.
mere filter accomplish what centuries of evolution have failed to do?
And Spock again points out...
Unequal evolution did not begin until after your ancestors removed themselves from constant exposure to the gas, Mr. Advisor.
Yeah.
Preposterous.
Absolutely preposterous. And such an offer could only cause more unrest among the troglodytes. Yeah. Troglodytes, pardon me. And they want to take the time to investigate these findings for ourselves.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the planet's dying.
Yes. So he's not having that, and Kirk is moving on to like, well, if you're not going to let me, I am going to do it anyway.
But
Your Federation orders do not entitle you to defy local governments.
And then a reaction sheet that I'm going to be using a lot.
This communication has ended.
So we're down to 10 hours and 40 minutes to deliver the contingent to Merak 2. Here's where the planet's named. Like, this is where we found out that unnamed planet is now Merak 2.
Yep. And Kirk has a cunning idea, and everyone's amazed. Oh, you have an idea for how to solve this unsolvable problem.
I mean, you're going back to Stratus against government orders?
Yeah, I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and if you are apprehended, then he would be in his right to have you executed.
Allow me to point out that a first officer is more expendable than either a doctor or a captain.
Yeah. But Kirk orders them both to remain. This is a solo mission.
Yeah, I'm going to do it myself. He beams down, talks to Vanna, explains the whole thing with the mask.
Yes, because he's beamed into her holding cell.
Yeah.
Speaking directly to the captive leader and making her an offer.
There's a dangerous gas in the mines that affects the development of the troglodytes exposed to it for a period of time. This mask will prevent any further damage.
But she also struggles to believe this, because it's also, out of context information.
Right, yes.
Would all the troglodytes wear these masks?
Yes, I'll see to it that the Federation engineers construct them.
But he does ask her to deliver the Zenite first, and then I'll come right back and give you what you...
Yes. Which is, from his point of view, a fair offer, but she doesn't trust him.
No, because the oppressed have very often been asked to, and if you do this little convenience for us, then we'll come right back and pay it back.
Right, but...
Centuries ago, Stratus was built by leaders that gave their word.
Yeah.
That all inhabitants would live there.
But we're still waiting.
Yep. The incredible gulf between the announcement of the abolition of slavery and the practical, actual abolition of enslavement of people. Unconscionable. I think there are, unfortunately, very many historical examples of this.
Yes. She gives in. Okay, I'll trust you, but now you have to trust me, because I can't tell you how to get there. I must bring you there.
Yes. Happily, this is the moment when one of the Sentinels comes in with the short skirts.
Yes.
And Kirk does the incredible strategic, brilliant move
of standing in the corner behind the door.
And cold clocking him with his phaser.
Yeah. Pew! She grabs the transport pass, which is perfectly fine, goes for multiple people. Kind of like the bars of the cell. It's like they kind of stick out the walls and they retract and slide back.
They're really cool.
They move into the mines where they are met by two of the guys that we saw before.
Yes, and they introduce themselves.
Mydra.
Lana.
Anka.
You have returned.
And
I've brought with me a hostage. Seize him!
Oh, betrayal! Kirk is standing there with his little breathing mask.
And he says through his mask, "We had a bargain. Why did you break it?" Because it does look like f***ing Blaine.
Pray I don't alter the deal any further.
Darth Vader! You merely adopted the darkness. I was born to it.
Right.
Sorry.
So, and he's in a rather vindicative mood. She goes.
Dig as the troglodytes do.
Yeah.
As the troglodytes
That
do.
mask I haven't.
And with your bare hands, Captain.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. Because we're not just racist and controlling, we're also stupid and punishment.
Yeah, from the disruptors' perspective, they don't see any difference between their oppressive government and the Federation.
Well, I was more thinking about the Stratosians who are we're not just going to make them dig. We're going to make them dig with their bare hands.
Yeah, that's unclear.
It seems a bit weird.
Because they do have their cavern implements, the mortai.
Yes, which looks like
It's a trowel.
A trowel, but then it's been covered in plastic foam to make it safe for LARPing.
It's peace bonded. Peace bonded space.
That's kind of what it looked like to me.
It's a shame that we don't do funky episode names for this as we do it for So Soundcape, because a peace bonded space trowel would be an excellent description of the cloud minders.
Yes.
The unseen gas doesn't seem to be harming you.
It takes a while for its effects to be noticed.
Yeah. And all the while, acting Captain Spock is in the cuck chair in orbit. Now we get some conflict between the leaders of this disruption.
Yes.
Because the two men don't understand why they're keeping him alive, keeping Kirk alive. They think it would be much more effective to kill him.
Yes.
A dead hostage is of no value, Mydro.
So we're not going to kill him.
And she says that she's the one who brought him here, and...
And I will say what is to be done.
Yeah.
But he returns with...
When Anka returns, we will all say.
Yeah.
That's what his point is. Like, we all want to have a voice. We all want to be heard. It's like not just through her.
Which I think is really kind of brilliant and also plays into what Kaleb said about this episode. Like, it's many of these stories present the oppressors as stupid and evil, which Placid absolutely is, and highly bigoted, but cruel for no reason. But they do take the time to show a lot of different perspectives. Among the oppressors, we've got Droxine, who's largely innocent, but still operates the machinery of torture.
Yes.
And it's not as if the resistance is a pure and noble organization, which military force could be.
Yeah. Well, she actually can admit to what the eventual goal is.
Until we have help in the mines, and our homes are in the clouds.
So, but she actually says until we have help in the mines.
Yeah.
She's not advocating a flip.
Yeah,
She's just like, we just want to be equal. Like,
exactly.
Not just us doing the digging and them living the good life, but we want to share the burdens and share the benefits.
Exactly.
Kirk throws a handful of sand in her face. Ha ha! Pocket sand.
Oh, sick Mariner reference there, bro.
Oh, because King of the Hill. Originally, it's King of the Hill reference.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah.
It sounded so much like a Mariner quote from Lower Decks. And once again, he does some rolling around. Apparently, he does have a hall pass for some tousling with Vanna.
Yes.
And once he gets her on the ground, he grabs the phaser,
shoots at the entryway of the cavern, and now they are locked in together. Oh no, we are sealed in. The atmosphere will go. We'll die. Ha ha. Oh no.
For a second, I wondered why he did that. Was he demonstrating, we have these phasers, which are much better at mining than your trowels. Oh. We could also just give you a bunch of phasers. And
or
wait,
just like mechanized mining equipment.
Yeah, that would also be nice. I kind of love the idea that he'd offered them a bunch of phasers as mining equipment and completely not realizing that he's arming a junta.
Yes. What's the CIA division of the Starfleet called?
Oh my God, that's Section 31. They do exactly this.
Yeah, okay, right.
There's a cloaked ship in orbit just waiting for him to leave so they can do, we know how to handle this.
Right, but he's going like, okay, I want you to beam the other dudes in.
Yes. He's got a communicator. Very trusting that it works through these magic rocks.
Yeah.
Usually being in caves isn't great for communicating.
I don't know. Have they been communicating? No, I don't think they were inside the caves earlier, so yeah, I wouldn't know. I mean, again, it's like depending on plot needs, caves block communications or not,
Yeah, it's always magic rocks that do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, the order is to beam Placis down here.
Without advanced communication. Have you got that, Spock?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's an unnecessarily long, sort of drawn-out period where Spock and Scotty sort of discuss the exact details of that meeting.
How did he mean it? Like, does he want to do it now? It's like, we can't do it immediately. We can't do it exactly what he asked for now. So we're going to have to wait a little because...
This is such padding.
Because they're talking, the High Counselor and the daughter are talking. Apparently, they're standing too close to each other to just beam out one. So they have to wait until their discussion is over.
Yep, and Scotty, he's just beam horny, right?
Yeah.
He's just there. I'm standing here.
I'm ready to do it.
It's real depressing here. The walls are closing in on me. I want to get out of here. I can't imagine any Irish person having the tolerance to stand here for 18 hours a day.
Oh, good point. Droxine. Yeah, I know,
well,
Droxine.
Okay.
But she's just like...
I was just standing here looking into space and wondering whether or not he would return.
It's like she's still got the hots for Spock.
Yeah, he thinks it's Kirk, but she says no.
It's the one with those exquisitely shaped ears.
And showing her natural loveliness like a Disney princess.
Why, I almost believe that if I stood here and called out to him, he would hear my invitation to come and visit with us for a little while longer.
Shall we try it, Daddy? Shall we try and think at the spaceman and hope?
But no. Bad news arrives. A sentinel says that we have found Vana's guard, and he was found half unconscious. Which half is that? What is half unconscious?
Yeah. The top half, bottom half, I don't
know. So they know that she's escaped, and so has he. And yeah, I think Placis just orders Vana out. Like, you just go to your music, he says.
Yes, that's what he does. But she has a little moment of introspection.
Father, are we so sure of our methods that we never question what we do?
But she obediently walks away and
she titted boobily across the set.
the advisor gets beamed out.
Yes, onto the transport pad.
So it's not a side-to-side transport.
Apparently.
But they do an immediate beam through, I suppose. He kind of materializes. You never actually see him fully materialize on the transporter pad.
Yeah.
But he's immediately sent back down to the planet. And he's now in the cavern with Spock and Vana. Sorry, not Vana. Kirk and Vana, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, Chief, got a question. Has there been a site-to-site transport without the use of a transporter pad in Star Trek at this point in Season 3?
Well, he was standing on the transporter pad.
Was he?
Yes. They were standing on the balcony.
Oh, the balcony,
yeah. Their transporter pad balcony, so yeah.
Weird place to... Okay, well, maybe Cloud City isn't that big.
But when was site-to-site transporting invented? Chief, can you tell us that? Or is that a...
It's a secret.
Oh, it is.
Ancient engineering secret.
Yes, so the first time that site-to-site transport was used in the chronology of Star Trek would be within 2256 in Discovery. Gabriel Lorca transported himself and Michael Berman just on board the Discovery. However, in TOS, in a Season 2 episode, a piece of the action, Mr. Scott does do a site-to-site transport there as well. So by this point, we have seen site-to-site transport just moving directly from one to the other, but that's not what they do here. So I'm not exactly 100% sure why they don't do that there. It's also an easier storytelling thing. Who knows?
All right, thank you. Now...
The advisor looked mighty angry.
And he still does, as he arrives in this cave where he's apparently been for an hour by the time that we cut back to them.
Right.
Abduction of a planet official is a serious crime.
You will pay for this.
But...
Not until you're convinced of the effects of the xenite gas, Mr. Advisor.
Yeah. And we already see Kirk brandishing his
yes.
phaser.
He's already starting to get affected. You can clearly tell that because he's getting brusque. He's standing there very with his phaser. And he
got a messy little cowlick hanging down.
He does, yes.
Right, he's almost growing a ring beard.
It's not quite Mirror Universe yet, but
no.
But yes, and he puts them both to work. Like, now it's your turn. You go dig.
Yeah, maybe you need more direct exposure with your hands.
That's it. Yes, dig. More gas in the air.
Dig. What did you say?
I said more gas in the air.
Oh.
What do you think I said?
More cats on the burner.
Oh no. So, this is fine. Oxygen is going.
Spock checks in.
Contact check, Captain. Yeah. It's been over an hour since your last communication.
And time's getting tight, but the captain says, no, this communication has ended. And he flips his communicator shut.
Yep, he is very brusque about that as well. But yes, Vana complains that the oxygen is going. The advisor says, yes, this is right. But Kirk still makes them dig. Dig, you bastards, dig. Punches him in the face.
Yeah.
I will take no more orders.
One more step and I'll kill you.
The gas. Captain, you were right. It's taking effect.
Yeah. She sees evidence with her own eyes, which was maybe like Kirk's sort of valid strategy.
Yeah. I think Kirk wanted the advisor to have this epiphany by exposing him to it.
Certainly. But I think... I'm thinking about this from Kirk's perspective. He's had a lot of more interactions with Vana, attempting to negotiate. She's given her word and broken it. Anytime she's trusted him, or said she's trusted him, that was false. So he has to conclude that he just doesn't have the power to convince her.
Yeah.
Right? She needs to see it for herself. So this actually kind of makes sense.
The High Advisor challenges Kirk to a trowel off.
Oh, my God.
Kirk throws his phaser to the side and goes all right, we will fight like men.
Yeah, for a second it seems as if the advisor grabs both trowels, offering one
to
Kirk.
No, haha.
Double trowel.
Yes. It's like, this is okay. What's the fifth mutant turtle called again? Now it's like the
Bucephalus. Was that it?
I guess so.
Oh no, Euronymous. That's right.
Euronymous. Yes. So he fights with double trowels.
There's more grappling while Vanna looks oddly disturbed. I mean, she should be fine with this. Oh no, the oppressors are going at it. Oh,
Together,
wait,
yes.
Stop. No, don't. You'll hurt each other.
But she actually grabs the communicator.
Yes.
Calls for help to the Enterprise.
Enterprise, help!
And that's all they need to know that they need to beam all three.
Everybody back aboard. The fighting continues on the transporter pad.
Until Spock disentangles his husband from...
Quite a success.
The Xenite gas.
You didn't have...
The Xenite gas has affected you.
You didn't have a hall pass for Placis, only Vanna. We talked about this.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
But, yes.
Ah, yes, it must be the Xenite gas. I would never otherwise violate a hall pass.
But it seems like the demonstration was quite the success.
Yeah. And back on Cloud City.
It's like, okay, yes.
I don't like filters. Or even masks.
More barebacking type.
Now that we have large doses of PrEP at our disposal,
exactly,
we can enjoy a more libertine form of intimacy than we have before. We can, while still maintaining responsibility.
Yeah.
I like the word protector much better.
Spock is like, oh, well, it's less technical and like less accurate, but maybe generally descriptive of the function, especially for like those stupid troglodytes who just like don't really understand what the filter would be, and so we just have to call it a protector, and then they'll wear it.
The way Spock is talking, you're right that it sort of reads as flirting. Right, from a logical point of view, but I think Kaleb is even more right that it leads to him, I'm just not going to take these. Yeah, I know I have to be polite. I'm going to let you down easily, but no, it's a hard no. And a strangely powerless Placis.
It appears you have what you came for after all.
Because Vanna has delivered the Zenite.
Yes. And there's some sort of weird discussion. Well, it's not weird, but like...
Agreed. There's no such word in the troglodyte vocabulary.
Yeah, she observes.
Because it is the only way we can obtain what is due us.
By force, yes. What about your education? Oh, look at all the good things we did for you.
Yeah, we built you railroads, churches.
And plantations to work on, yes.
How boring it would have been otherwise. But it's Kirk's original proposal. We'll come back and bring you masks that Vanna now accepts.
But I found this exchange more interesting.
And the troglodytes will no longer suffer from retardation and emotional difficulties.
They will all be like her. Ungrateful, vindictive.
Oh,
and she agrees.
Yes. Our demands have just begun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's like fantastic characterization.
And she's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is just a start. We're going for full equality.
Yeah. Like, you've seen nothing yet. You have no idea. This is a minor inconvenience.
Compared to what's yet to come, yes.
And it's all your fault.
But yes, Droxine is oh no, I shall suffer too.
Yeah. I shall go to the mines.
And yes, I no longer wish to be limited to clouds, and I'll just do my shift there. So I'm not sure if she's being dramatic here or genuine at this point.
I don't want to be unkind to Droxine, who, aside from operating torture equipment, hasn't done very much actually wrong in this episode. But she does sound like someone who's,
I will cast away my riches and I will just join the oppressed
for a summer backpacking
something
through
like that.
Cambodia. Yeah, and then I'll come right back and pick up Daddy's business.
Yes,
or his emerald mine, or whatever, just to pick a random example.
But it's fine. We'll come back, and maybe some mediation will help. But Strato, no, what's his name again?
Will tolerate absolutely no interference.
Placis.
That's the one.
Yep.
You will not set foot here as long as I rule.
And Kirk is like, no.
I don't want to come here anyway.
And here's a weird exchange. The only reason I'd return is to answer the charges that you were going to press. Well,
and I shall press them. You are guilty of abduction, Captain.
And you're guilty of attacking a starship commander and plotting against his life.
Captain, Perhaps both incidents are best forgotten.
It's like, well, why didn't we, strike out one wrong against the other, and...
Yeah. With a weird move for Vanna. I mean, it's supposed to show us, her diplomatic maturity.
Right, yes.
But it gives up a huge leverage possibility. I know. Getting the Federation involved in this injustice is to the oppressed's advantage here.
But Kirk agrees quickly.
They never happened.
And
Mr.
then...
Advisor. Spock, let's get that Xenite delivered.
Bye.
I believe we only have 3 hours left.
2 hours, 59 minutes to be exact, Captain.
And they walk off to the beam pad and beam up, leaving a wistful Droxine standing there looking at them and like...
Oh, whoa. Yeah. No, you're right. And then the Enterprise warps off and solves the mission. Yeah. I've just seen something that I'm trying to save into my head for when it's the segment for the captain's logs.
Yes.
Remember it, Kaki. Remember it.
Okay.
Let's find out if I can. Anyway, yes, do the thing. That was actually a really good episode.
It was, yeah.
Aside from some troubling politics.
Well, yes. I mean, that's...
Yeah, no, that's what a warp core is
They were
for.
dealt with as appropriately as we can. So, what did you think was...
So fucking cool.
I really liked Droxine's dress. It's...
Sure.
It really is a remarkable feat of anti-gravity, sustained anti-gravity.
Well, I guess the costume department gets double so fucking cool then, because mine goes to the Duran Duran cosplayers.
This is a really well-designed episode.
They were, yeah. It looked absolutely fantastic.
The sets as well, but yeah, you're right. I wish we'd seen more of those visors. They look so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait. I think those visors are what Khan wears on SETI Alpha 5.
Oh.
He also has a metallic with a slit before he reveals his
very
face.
well possible, yes.
Oh, I think I even saw that in the trivia.
Okay.
Oh, yes, it's continuing to play.
I accidentally clicked the GIF, I think, and we can hear the vocalizations.
The wailing of a lone starship.
All right. Next segment is where we... imagine a scene that was deleted from... Oh, you can get to go first now. It's still fresh in your memory. So,
Captain's log, supplemental.
So the deleted scene that I imagine was left on the cutting room floor happens right at the end, because as Kirk and Spock are strutting up the stairs, booty tooching, we see the two ladies wistfully looking after them, and we're supposed to infer that it's Vanna looking at Kirk and Droxine looking at Spock.
Uh-huh.
I think those two women were looking at each other instead.
Oh.
And we're going to have a talk, because you only had a hall pass for Spock, and I did see you flirting with the other one.
But it turns out that they are now after each other in the whole thing.
I think they might have been secretly married this whole time, and
okay.
having their own thing or exploration, or maybe just a long time fling that they were on again, off again, and rekindling. That might be an interesting reading of this episode
might
as well.
Might have been a bit of a the king and his page or something, the master-servant relationship, the forbidden relationship between those.
Oh, yeah. And
they
swap roles once every few years. And,
that would be very modern. But...
Dad is completely clueless. He thinks he's torturing Vanna. Oh, if you prefer the rays. But Droxine knows how Vanna likes the rays to be operated. She does them just right.
Wow.
Yeah, that scream was... they interrupted something that Vanna was quite enjoying.
Okay.
How about you?
All right, mine is the one where they, when they first get into the caves, and Kirk is still wearing the filter mask, and because I noticed that filter mask, so it's like a fairly typical N95 type mask with a little filter thing on, and there's three colorful tubes, one yellow, one green, and one purple, filled with Pez. And you discover it's actually just a Pez, and you can see him just going...
Get a little tongue I want a lemon one now.
Yeah, exactly. So, as always, the chief has prepared a few sound bites for us, so we get to guess what is going to be...
Next time on an all-new episode of Star Trek.
Yes. So, next week we'll be reading a story, and then the following week we'll be discussing an episode that we're about to learn. And as always...
Guess along at home. See if you can guess it before we do it. Yes, you can, Lauren.
Friend of the show, Lauren, generally does. Yes, it's true. And there's one person who will very likely recognize the episode, because that's the person who recommended it.
Yes.
Because each of these episodes is recommended by someone. Hey, thank you, Kaleb, for recommending today's episode. And if you'd like to send us an episode that you have a unique point of view on, as Kaleb had here, which I think is really brilliant, we'd love to hear from you. We're at joyoftrek.com/links, where you can find links to our socials, which might be getting better at maintaining. Who's to say? As well as to our Patreon, if you want to help keep the lights on here at the Joy of Trek studios. Now, Kay, are you interested in the first clue?
Hit me.
First contact is not what it used to be.
Right. Okay.
Could be Picard in a very slutty mood.
Or Q.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
All right, clue number 2.
Is it against Starfleet regulations to press a few buttons?
Oh.
It sounded... He's doing a voice here.
I noticed, yes. Oh.
It's
I'm just pressing a few buttons. This one's going to open the airlock and, evacuate the ship. Is it against...
Okay, so it can't be any Starfleet officer who's saying...
No.
Otherwise, I would think Shax, because he was doing a very good Fred Tatasciore.
Good point, yes. Ooh, let's keep going.
Okay, we have another clue.
Trust a gambler.
Trust a gambler. Okay, maybe Quark?
Quark is not a gambler.
Isn't he?
He runs a gambling parley because the house always wins.
Oh, that's true. Well, he does like to play Tongo with Jadzia, which he does not always win.
No, okay.
Okay, next clue.
Choose their path. Double their peril.
Oh, no.
Double your winnings.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no.
You recognized it?
Yes, I do. And I wonder if the next clip is one that I can sing along to, that it starts with Alamarain. Let's see.
Alamarain, count to 4. Alamarain, then 3 more. Alamarain, if you can see. Alamarain, you'll come with me.
Okay.
Because it
is. I have been waiting for this one because this is DS9 110, Move Along Home.
I must have seen it, but I don't remember it.
It's the one where they get zapped into alien snakes and ladders, and they have to do all these weird dances.
Oh.
It's in the early days when they're still figuring out, how weird are the things coming through the
wormhole.
The wormhole, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God. And we have all these...
I must have seen it, but I cannot remember any of it.
Okay, you're going to have such a good time, and we're going to learn that little dance together.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, and this only leaves us with one more thing.
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize! I prefer the rays!
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki. Production and editing by our chief engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next week for I Just Might Say It Tonight, the fan fiction reading, followed by DS9 110, Move Along Home. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to Joy of Trek, and we'll see you out there.